Hello, I've interrupted my working afternoon to make this video because, as some of you know, I trade on eBay while I'm working. I listen to the Atheist Experience over several years. That's where I got all the clips from, and I pick out the best clips. So I found a good one here, and I can't resist making a quick recording and uploading it. So, yeah, somebody's calling in claiming that there must be an explanation why there is so much belief. Let's see where he goes with it.
And I apologize, John, is that it lists you here as a theist, but you've come up with a definition and talked about this notion that maybe all of the gods are in. I don't know if you think they're all real or if they're all not real. What God are you advocating for?
Well, I'm not advocating for any God. I'm just saying that the only explanation for people believing this nonsense, I guess I'm an agnostic.
Okay, so he's saying the only explanation for people believing this nonsense, he seems to be putting into a set all of religious belief or all of theistic belief. If he is asserting that that's nonsense, it means he doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe in any of the God claims. That would make him an atheist, and yet he's saying that he's an agnostic.
I don't believe there is a God or not, really. I really don't know.
Okay, so he's saying he doesn't believe in a God or not. He really doesn't know. Well, I don't know either. And I mean, the bulk of atheists would say that they don't know. He's said that all the God beliefs are nonsense. And now he's saying he neither believes nor doesn't, he neither believes nor disbelieves. That's a lie. He's just said it's nonsense. It means he doesn't believe. It means that he's an atheist. And he's one of these people that tries to put himself on the middle ground and doesn't seem to understand that agnosticism represents lack of knowledge, and atheism is lack of belief.
But the only explanation I can have for all these people, I mean, there are billions of people on the planet that believe in this supernatural being or prophet or whatever. And I can only say that they believe it because of this supernatural or technological marvels that were produced during these beings or stories that were created. I mean, look at the cargo cults in South Pacific. After World War II, during World War II, they'd land on these deserted islands, and there were these.
I'm aware, yeah. But the problem is that as soon as you say the only explanation for billions of people believing is that these are supernatural technological marvels, no, they're stories. They're not supernatural technological marvels. They are stories, and we are storytellers. We are story purveyors. We are the people who constantly look to find ourselves in a story and to find out what a story is going to benefit from us. Yes, there's things in there that are supernatural and technological, but the explanation for why people believe these things is because they have become convinced and compelled, in part because of the value that those stories bring them, either emotionally or assuaging fears of death and things. All of that's true even for a God that has nothing to do with technology.
Well, again, there's evidence of the technological or supernatural. One is like,
great, can't wait to hear. What's your evidence?
Like, you ever hear of Mohenjo-daro and what they found there?
No.
Mohenjo-daro is in India, and it's a site where they found radioactivity and radioactive skeletons that could only have been destroyed by an atomic blast.
No.
You know the great thing about the internet? You know the great thing about Wikipedia and what an amazing thing it is and how easy it is to type on the keyboard, you know, India, ancient atomic blast, you know, whatever, this place that he mentioned. Excuse me a moment. Yeah, so the great thing is that Matt has got a computer in front of him, and when somebody comes on with this bullshit, he can just quickly type it in. You know, he's a fast reader, he's good at processing information, and he can check the veracity of what they're actually saying. I think this is brilliant. One of the best calls ever.
No. Okay, Jan, Every time you start making statements like it could only be explained by this, you lose us because you've done no work. You've shown no work. We haven't even demonstrated that the thing you're claiming is true. But as soon as you say the only explanation for it is this, you have now adopted a burden of proof that you can't meet. How do you demonstrate that the only explanation is an atomic blast specifically from technology?
Because of the high radiation, it's way over radiation background, and the isotopes can only be found after an atomic blast.
Sounds pretty good, eh? Isotopes that could only be found after an atomic blast. And if you were in a pub talking to this guy and you didn't have your phone on you that you could check this, you'd say, actually, that sounds quite convincing. And you come away convinced. But the great thing is we've got information. We have got the internet. We've got Google. We've got Wikipedia. We've got Encyclopedia Britannica. And we can check these claims.
You know, curiously, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Mohenjo-Daro. Have you been there?
Maybe not that page, but I've seen other things.
Because the word radioactive does not fucking appear on the Wikipedia page for that, which means you're probably getting your information from shitty sources. And the fact that you've taken those shitty sources and decided that the only explanation is an atomic bomb means you're probably relying too much on shitty sources.
All right.
Well, that could be, but I'm just saying that there seems to be, if maybe that's a poor example, but there are other
when you're on the atheist experience trying to prove a point, you don't give your worst example, you give your best example.
Examples that seem to...
I don't want other examples. I don't want other examples, John, because you've just demonstrated that you're willing to give an example that isn't attested to in any level of significance enough to even wind up.
The great thing is that when somebody like Jan comes on with this kind of claim and you debunk it, you completely humiliate it. It disqualifies any other evidence that they put forward, because you can say, well, you've just provided me with your first example. It must be your best example. Otherwise, you wouldn't have provided it. We've completely debunked it. You obviously can't research, and we can't take anything that you say seriously whatsoever.
Up on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah,
so I don't trust you or your sources, or the fact that you think the only explanation for this is X. Do you have some expertise in this area?
Well, I have expertise in nothing. I don't claim to be an expert in anything.
Good. Then let's find somebody with some expertise and some actual factual data before we start making claims about what happened in ancient Mohenjo-Daro.
Right. Because your source methodology appears to be leaving something to be desired when Wikipedia doesn't even mention radiation, and your best evidence seems to be this. And when you say the only thing you can think of, you're also making another mental error or a fallacy in argument from an incredulity. Just because you can't imagine can't imagine it being any other way than people explaining technology doesn't mean that is the only way. So your source methodology needs some work, and I think your basic critical thinking skills also need some work as well.
Yeah, because one of the big things is that the buildings, and I'm pulling this, by the way, from Rational Wiki, who somebody thought of this and I didn't. Here's an actual quote from Rational Wiki addressing this. One difficulty with the nuclear blast claim at Mohenjo-Daro is immediately apparent when photographs of the dig site are examined. The buildings were made of kiln-fired mud bricks. Some of the walls are still 15 feet high. How an unreinforced mud brick wall withstands a nuclear blast never seems to be addressed.
Well, I definitely, my knowledge on that particular topic could be grossly in error, and
and yet he's basing his view that there were these ancient supernatural technological events as a basis for why people believe in gods, etc., and supernatural claims. He's basing his whole position on that, and it's just been completely destroyed. And he's saying, "Oh yes, well I admit, it's probably not the best example."
I'll admit that.
Well, Matt just did this in 2 minutes. How long have you known about this incident or this? I can't pronounce the name, Mohenjo-Daro. How long have you known about it?
Well, I probably read about it 20 years ago.
20 years ago, really, before the internet, I mean, really got going well. He probably read it in some, I don't know, popular sort of pseudo-scientific archaeological book or claims of, I don't know, maybe aliens, ancient aliens or something like that. And he probably read it and kept it in his mind, and he's basing his whole worldview on it.
I've read it since then.
So Matt in 3 minutes, did better source methodology than you did in 20 years. You see what we're saying about maybe you need to kind of up your critical thinking game and your research game?
Well, I just because one source says something doesn't mean it's true or false. It's just their opinion.
Right, but the two sources that Matt just quoted from are generally pretty good on a lot of different topics. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but Wikipedia is certainly a good ground zero to start researching into your topics. Rational Wiki is also another really good ground zero for such claims.
Yeah, he's got the wrong attitude there. I mean, obviously, I agree with him that just because one source says something doesn't necessarily mean that it's either true or false. But having been presented with some sort of up-to-date research, I would think he would say, you've given me something to think about there. I thought that what I was saying was based on good research. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm right. Maybe you're right and I'm wrong. I need to go out there and double check and look at different sources to figure this whole thing out. And when I've done that, I'll get back to you. Any reasonable person would take that attitude and not immediately say, well, you know, just because Matt's found that doesn't mean to say that it's true.
So yeah, this is all in 2 minutes. He found a complete debunking of everything you just said. The best of which is simply, if there are in fact 15-foot tall mud walls still standing at site, then it was not ground zero at best, right? Because nothing survives at ground zero as far as we know, because there's too much heat, everything melts. So yeah, your source methodology needs some work and your critical thinking skills need some work.
But
not that mine are perfect or Matt's are perfect.
Yeah. But I gotta let you go, Jan. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Okay, well, you take care. I enjoy your program.
Thank you very much. I enjoy the call. By the way,
yeah, bet you enjoyed the call, Matt. You were grinning throughout the whole of that. Bet you really enjoyed it. It's so satisfying to debunk nonsense. And obviously, I hope that the caller takes that on board and goes to sort of reevaluate what their opinion is on this particular topic, because quite evidently, I mean, I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it's based on very, very poor quality research. So I really enjoyed that call. It put my back up a bit when he said that he's an agnostic, you know, he neither believes nor disbelieves. I hate that kind of thing. People thinking that they're taking the middle ground. And the quality, Jim is absolutely right there. The quality of his critical thinking is so poor. I wouldn't really trust anything I wouldn't trust a single word that he says in terms of if he told me about some research that he'd done. And I don't think that he's got really good grounds for any of his views whatsoever until he's demonstrated that he can do some proper critical thinking and proper broad research, taking into account all the sources and trying to work out what the facts actually are, or obviously whether there are not enough facts in order to conclude anything. That's enough from me. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll get back to my work now, and I'm going to upload this in about maybe 20 minutes. Bye for now.